Namaste. Good morning on another bicycle live stream. And this is a corker of a morning. This is magnificent. I've ridden 33 kilometers since just before 5 a.m. this morning. I'm up at, well, where am I? Merrimack, somewhere like that. And it's still only 11.8 degrees. It's a winter's morning. 4 weeks into spring and it's a winter's morning. It was 4.7 degrees this morning when I started. I was like, geez. Oh, amazing. But anyway, Sunday, September the 27th. And we've got Sandy. Good morning, Sandy. You're on the ball early this morning, isn't it magnificent? Oh my God, there's not a cloud in the sky. The air is very crisp. It's still. It's puts a smile on my dial, I tell you. All right, so let's talk about an unguided mind. I had a couple of different titles I could have used for this morning's live stream. I was going to originally say an unguided mind is a dangerous, destructive missile was one, and then I was going to change it to an unguided mind is a dangerous thing, and then which is take off London Grammar's album Truth is a Beautiful Thing. But anyway, I've gone with how do you ground an unguided mind. So let's start with some analogies here to explain what I'm talking about, why the mind is unguided and why it needs grounding. So, and good morning, Anne, thank you for watching. So if you think of a missile, for instance, that's sitting on the ground and it is in its dormant state, relatively safe. But once it's put into action, once it's airborne, without direction, it is an exceptionally dangerous object that has, when its flight path is ended, of course, has a destructive conclusion. So it's a bit like, I want to bring up another analogy of the mind. A car, if you have a car, which is an amazing mechanical device that requires a driver, under the control of, or the guidance of that driver, then the vehicle is used for the purpose of transportation. If the driver was removed from the car, ejected from the car whilst it was moving, of course, we know what's going to happen. It's a very simple analogy. The car's going to lose control rapidly, and the end result will be it will crash into something. This is the situation we have with the mind. The car is akin to the mind, and it needs to be guided. It needs a pilot. It needs direction, without which it is a dangerous, foolish, hopelessly lost, directionless thing. So the mind, which is capable of so much great achievements, is on its own hopelessly lost. And we are living in a world, you don't have to look very far to see that the world we're living in is the way it is because the majority of people are utilizing a device, their mind, without properly piloting it, without guiding it, without grounding it. Their mind is unguided. So when a mind is not grounded or guided by heart's wisdom, you have a very, very dangerous situation. And there's so many different variations, so many different examples of how this happens, or how this plays out, I should say. Many examples of people that just became so connected to their mind and disconnected from their heart that they ended up going down a very destructive course, and usually, it often happens with what? Musicians and celebrities, you know, that sort of thing. And usually at a very young age, this destructive course ends the life of the body they're in. Why is this so? Why does the mind, if it's unguided, why is it so dangerous like this? It's because the mind cannot be told. It cannot be contained. We need our mind. We need it to function. We need it to protect us, to it'd be hard to describe it without connecting it with the heart, but let's just say we need the mind. But the issue that happens here is that the mind has no limits. And when you have a mind that is never pleased, never satisfied, never capable of finding that satisfaction, never capable of reaching that point where it goes, oh yeah, I'm right now, I've got everything I need. When you have a mind like that, and we all do, there's no exceptions, then the problem is that you are in a limited body, living in a limited world, with a mind that just can't stop, basically. And this is where you get cases of people that are, for instance, bipolar, that just go for days without resting because they become so absorbed in the mind without the heart's connection and the heart's wisdom. So the mind and the heart have to work together. They are a combined unit, and the heart has to guide the mind. This is where our compassion comes from. It doesn't come from our mind. This is where our empathy comes from. This is where all wisdom emanates from the heart. And the heart grounds the mind. The heart is the reason. It's a bit like, I'll bring in another analogy. If you've ever seen, like, for instance, say, a couple together, and the guy starts getting angry at something, and his partner goes, oh no, it's all right, calm down, it's okay. You're seeing basically an example of the mind and the heart being played out in a way. You're seeing him being overwhelmed by the mind, and you're seeing her bringing in the heart's reason. And there is a heart logic, and it's a beautiful thing, and it has to be combined with the mind, because the heart has to work with the mind, because the heart is heard through the mind, strange as it may seem. In other words, the wisdom of the heart is then acted out through the mechanics of the mind, and it allows the heart to, you know, sort of, it gives it the vehicle to express that compassion in through the mind and the body, through the mind controlling the body and giving the correct commands to the body. So this subject came up because, I see so many times people that just get caught up in their thoughts, and I see the end result of it, and it can be, extreme anxiety, sadness, anger. I see with my father, he gets caught up in his thoughts a lot now, as a result of his current health situation. And, when he gets to that point, it's a real representation of any of us that can get to that point where we just are so absorbed in believing the lies of the mind that we can't connect back into the heart to bring us back to peace. So how do we bring that peace back? Each night I sit with my father and I say, okay, we're going to ground ourselves now. We're going to do some diaphragmatic breathing. We're going to use the power of breath to disconnect us from our mind and from the belief that anything it tells us is correct. We're going to disconnect ourselves from that, and we're going to bring us back to a point, simply by using the power of breath, of centering and focusing back in our heart's wisdom. Now, it's interesting to notice that not only do we become distressed when we believe the mind and we follow all its crazy thoughts and lies, but also there's an emotional component to our thoughts, and the emotions are felt in our stomach. And this has an out of control mind, an unguided mind, has a strong effect on how well our digestive system will work. So it'll have an effect if you're carrying a lot of fear, shame, guilt, anger, sadness, pride, jealousy, anything you want to think of from the false ego, because the mind is the false ego's reservoir. If you're carrying any of that, it materializes energetically as an emotional energy in your stomach, and it will cause two things. One, it'll prevent you from feeling a sense of peace and safety and peace and safety and security. I wonder what that car was doing. And secondly, it will physically make it impossible for you to have a healthy digestive system, because you are holding on to an emotional energy in your stomach that prevents it from functioning properly. So this is a component that needs to be looked at with people that are having issues with their health, their digestive health, to look at emotionally what is happening. And the way to look at it emotionally is to have a look at what thoughts we're hanging on to. So how do we guide an unguided mind? How do we ground it? The mind needs grounding every day. It needs reminding that it is not limitless. It's the pleasure seeker that wants unlimited pleasure, and it will stay awake day and night trying to get it, never being satisfied till the body is totally exhausted or totally spent. And because it's in a limited physical body, in a limited physical world. So to ground it, we have to bring back our heart's wisdom so that we can be that, in that example I gave of the guy and the girl, we can be that woman saying to her partner, okay, darling, just calm down now. It's not worth fighting over, or something like that. So we can do that in two ways. Both are very easy. They both require us to take a moment to say to ourselves, I'm not calm now, I'm stressed, I need to take some time out and bring myself back to a point of peace. So the first way of doing it, of course, is sitting down. You can do it standing up, but much better sitting down, closing our eyes, telling ourselves to relax, and using the power of breath, as I was saying earlier, to bring a relaxing state back into the physical body, which then brings us away. It helps take us away from the hold of the mind, so it starts letting go of us, and it brings us back to a point of peace that's naturally coming from our soul, from who we are, from our heart center. So I do this each night with mum and dad, and I myself gain the benefits from it. And I just noticed within a couple of minutes, I'm feeling so much more relaxed. I'm smiling. I'm feeling at peace again. And Dad, often afterwards, I say, "How was that?" And he goes, "Oh, that was wonderful." And it's great because previously he was stressed. He was caught up in an avalanche of thoughts that cannot help in any way. So, and the second thing is, on a spiritual level, so that's a physical level. On a spiritual level, and something that is more important in the long run, is to use the power of transcendental sound. I've spoken about this before. It's always the most important component in any discussion. The way it works is that we are in a material world with material energy, but beyond that is another energy, a transcendental energy, an energy that transcends material energy and that we can tap into using mantra meditation. And it's something that we can do at any time. We don't even have to close our eyes. We can very, very simply just start chanting mantras that have transcendental power to them. And the analogy that I like to give is that each day our physical body gets dirty and we need to take a shower. We need to clean our physical body. Well, spiritually, each day we can do a spiritual cleansing of our body. We can wash our body spiritually with transcendental energy. This energy transcends, hence the name, transcendental, transcends the material world. It carries the highest level of transcendental power that there is, and we can call upon it like a prayer. We can call upon it. We can just start chanting Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mahana, Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mahana, Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mahana. And we can just bring this energy, this peace into our environment, and it has an incredible calming effect, and is highly recommended for taking us away from that entrapment of the mind that would have us believe that what it tells us is the most important thing. So, like a missile that's been let loose without a target to head to, and even if it does have a target to head to, the missile's not going to be a good thing. So that's maybe not the best analogy, but the mind left unguided is a dangerous thing. So I hope you've gotten something from this, and the two little things there that you can do to help using transcendental energy and using the power of healing breath to help disconnect you from the hold that the mind will invariably have on you, because it always wants to be number one, and allow the heart to just give it a bit of guidance and say, hey, let's cooperate here, buddy. So I hope you have a magnificent day on this stunning morning. It is just incredible. Live vegan and save lives. Ahimsa.